This week's channel message from the angels is an important update about an energy that has been coming to the planet, but that will be coming with much more intensity. And it is waves of energy that are designed to help us with our coherence, both in our mind, in our body, in our energy, helping us to come together to help us with telepathic communication down the road. So it's a super exciting message, you guys. So welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining me. And those of you who are new here, my name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. And I do that by raising my awareness as high as I can go. I go a little higher, I connect, and then messages and information come through and I share it here with you guys on YouTube. And like I said, this week's message is it's a very different voice for the angels. They're speaking very clearly. So in the breakdown, I kind of go through it a little bit quicker. I will share the original information, the original channeling with you, and then afterwards we will break it down and talk through it. But so it is specifically, they're saying that this energy is going to hit sometime. It's happening now, and it will go through mid-November. And there's going to be, it sounds like that there's some of this has been coming already, but they're going to describe what our symptoms will be, how we will experience it. And there'll be some moments of it that will be big waves. Like there'll be a lot of it. So you might be experienced, if you've experienced this a little bit so far, you will know what's coming and know that it could be much more intense, specifically intensity lasting for a few days. So just to be aware of that and to help us to understand how to work with the energy for our highest and best good. So yeah, it's a really exciting message, you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the message and share the breakdown afterwards. I wanted to share that I've been putting the videos afterwards, and these are from my own experience. So I went on a beautiful hike this past weekend and found, I live by a river, this beautiful river, and then we found this one little lake near the river, and I took a video of it for you guys to enjoy during the channeling. So these are just things from my own experience that I find to be beautiful that I'm enjoying sharing with you guys. All right, enjoy the message.
Blessings. We have begun. We are speaking today on the transmission of stellar influence of all that comes to your earth in the times that we have spoken of. The time is coming near when you will see the earth differently, when the light that illuminates the earth shall shine more brightly. The total illuminating force in wavelengths that comes to the planet is changing. The near proximity to other sources of illumination is helping. You are becoming closer to the delineation of the time that came after from now. The instances of these wavelengths herald in frequencies that you can now absorb. The template is on offer, and you are experiencing them incrementally within the body. You have already absorbed the frequencies of prior instantiations of light. But now arriving, the times herald a delineation of frequency. A higher spectrum of light is arriving, a spectrum beyond the frequencies you have until now understood and seen. A higher spectrum of light whose behaviors you cannot comprehend scientifically, a spectrum that is not observable by scientific instrument, a spectrum that is unseen, an unseen friend, illuminating yourselves from within. It is a space of recognition from within which you discover what you are, an illuminating frequency that is bilateral in nature, both hemispheres of the brain, of the body, at once, a harmonizing frequency that brings you into coherence more easily. It is an aspect of who you are that bifurcation has been symbiotic to your existence. It has been something that you have adhered to within each instance of your existence, but the coherence of your frequency, of your energy, must now come together in unison in a way of behaving that illuminates your higher chakras, that instigates for you a transmission and receptivity to all others, earthly and non-earthly beings. It is the ability to transmit your own frequency with more ease. The absorbing of these coherent waves of energy happens naturally. You need not think about how it will occur. You need not try or foresee how it happens. It is happening. It is happening as we are speaking. However, there will be specific occurrences of this illuminating force that will be higher in impact, higher in duration, and in force. And you will find yourself feeling misty and befuddled upon the absorption of these frequencies. You will feel disjointed in the occurrence of time, and the spectral event shall come in between the times that are occurring most near the greater frequency of light that is occurring mid-November. You may feel this. Between now and this time frame, it will occur. Each of you will feel it bodily within the body, but not as an effort to do so. It will happen as you are receptive. There are instances of this light occurring already, but the greatest time frame of receptivity is coming now, within the time frame of which we are speaking, and you are opening yourselves in your receptive state to allow this entrance. It will heal your wounding to some degree as you allow it. It will allow for the bifurcated aspects of your own human desire to reunify, to come together as one being into aspects of self that no longer acknowledge yourself as in abhorrence to what you are. There is congruence between your actions and what you need internally. There is definition behind the mind in the subconscious layer of thinking, where you can receive these influences more deeply, allow them to penetrate what you are. The reoccurrence of these spectral events will not occur for some time. It is unique in the time frame of your own specific resurgence of consciousness. This is the only time that these energies will be apparent. But they are called in at the behest of all creation to aid you now in the reunification of the body, of the mind, of what you are, to help make you whole, to help draw you into purpose, to bring you to what you are. There will be the greater cascade of illumination, which will be observable later, not now. This frequency is not observable, will not be remarked upon by others who are not attuned to higher dimensions and planes of awareness. But for yourselves who feel yourself drawn into this chord of vibration, it will affect you deeply, will harmonize your bodies, will help you in absorbing further, more deeply, the greater frequencies that will be arriving later. You will find yourselves, as we have mentioned, to be conscious of a drifting awareness, a befuddled sensation while you are in the rehabilitation process of this absorption, of the realignment of what you are. It will create for you some days worth of distribution of your own conscious awareness, as though you are scattered and not temporally locked within this specific dimension. And we say, fear nothing, fear not that you have become unanchored. You are still within the realm of all that is sacred, and you are held in the arms of ourselves. And this transition will be made easier by your own willingness to be guided through it. We ask for you to simply breathe, to take space for your own health, to be alone, to take time in your own solitude, to allow your frequency to adapt to these greater illuminating forces which will rise within you. They come as called into presence. They come as you are ready. They are spectral waves which come to the planet. They are coming in occurrences rapidly impacting many persons. They move across very quickly. It is not an occurrence that is lasting of duration. They come a wave and move across and distribute power among all surfaces of this plane. It cannot be a fear that you will miss it. If you are receptive, if you are willing, you will find yourself absorbing these frequencies, much to your benefit. We bring this to your awareness. This is not the flash of light of which we have been speaking. The solar occurrence will be later. This is a spectral wave beyond the illumination you've previously seen, specifically intended to aid you in coherence within the mind and the body. We thank you.
All right. So very, very specific message, right? Very interesting and very specific to it's like a news broadcast. They're saying like, hey, there's this thing coming, be aware. And they're speaking very clearly in a way that's not typical for them, talking about specifically what we're going to be experiencing. So they say it is like a wave of coherence, and it's designed to harmonize our mind and our bodies. And that they talk about how we've been, and it's sort of like, think about our brain as like two halves, and the body like masculine and feminine, left of right and right, how we have these points of crossing over, but these two halves of us have not been necessarily coherent. And they say that that's been of service, right? That we've had this way of being where we've been disjointed and out of sync. And that has helped us to explore ourselves more deeply, that we've learned about ourselves as a soul because of being disjointed. And they're saying now that that is not the way forward. And I think this is all connected to the idea that we're not going to have karma anymore, that we're going to start exploring our world as creators rather than in a karmic way. We're seeing the world as a reflection of who we are. So the point of Earth School will change, right? So Earth School has been this karmic construct where it's meant to be a place where we experience ourselves as experience the world as a reflection of what we are inside. And we have this veil that hides us from this fact. So we just bump into the world over and over and over again, right? And we're constantly encountering ourselves with the idea that we're meant to finally come to the awareness of ourselves and heal. And so this new way of being, it requires us to be coherent. It requires, and that coherence, think of it as like, coherence is like it refers really to light. And it means that it has several meanings, which is not surprising as an angel word. But in the one way to think about it is that coherent waves of light are like what you see from a laser. So when light is not coherent, like if you turn a light on, you walk in a room, you turn on a light, and that light just comes from the light bulb and it just kind of radiates out into the room. If you were to look at the light waves, they just go everywhere like squiggles. They just kind of radiate here and there, and they bounce, and they kind of move everywhere. They're just like a crazy chaos of waves that just go everywhere. And that's incoherent waves. And then coherent waves are light that is a laser beam. A laser beam is all of the light waves aligned exactly together, like all in one perfect line, all going in the same direction in the same space. And it becomes like a laser beam becomes way more powerful. So they are meaning for our energy to become coherent, that our energy is meant to. So before, we were built in such a way that we were kind of radiating our energy everywhere incoherently and creating in a haphazard way and encountering ourselves in the world. And we're meant to now change that. And it was of service, right? Because it meant that we could see ourselves. It meant that we had this process of being out of sync with ourselves, so that we were in a way projecting without really understanding what we were doing. Now we are meant to come into the world without karma. We're meant to be able to project our energy in a way that is very intentional, that we're going to be, as they described it, living in this dharmic way where we're literally standing on the edge of a wave. Reality comes up to meet us, and we are working with our energy in a coherent way with our high spiritual awareness, able to adapt in real time, like able to see how we're impacting our world and mold it like as if it's Play-Doh in our hands, right? That we're able to change ourselves and change our reality immediately. So that's what we're trying to move into. And that is coherent energy. And so, but in order to do that, we have to become coherent in our heart, coherent in our mind. So this wave of energy and they gave us a date, you guys. They said a month. I can't even believe it. They said between now and November. And they said it's actually been happening a little bit already, that it's been occurring, but that it's really going to be between now and November that this specific type of energy will be here. And it's here specifically to help us with this idea of becoming coherent. So yeah, so it's super, super cool. So we can go through the message more deeply. Let me take a look and see what you guys are saying. So you're saying, so it sounds like they're preparing us slowly for higher waves of light that will eventually reach us. Yes, absolutely. So these are about making us coherent. The big wave of light, what we're expecting in some time, they're saying it's going to happen. The big light, it comes, they said in the middle of the ruckus is when that happens. So that's going to be later, but that one is really about raising our frequency up to a place. And they say that is the moment that we will all look back on and say that is when everything changes. But this is kind of preparing us. It's really about trying to activate our upper chakras and trying to get us connected, trying to prepare us so that we can have this telepathic connection to one another. That's how I read this, is they're trying to get us ready for telepathic communication, which I think is going to be essential in the future when we have the 3 days of darkness, when all communication shuts down, that we're meant to connect telepathically. So, and to each other, and they even say to earth beings and non-earth beings. So, interesting. And they said before that non-earth beings would, so aliens, ETs, whatever you want to call them, would be coming. Like, it's like we have this sequence. The angels haven't given us a lot of dates other than this, where they're saying this is happening till November. They haven't given us a lot of dates, but they've given us sequences. They've said that for example, they say the flash of light happens in the middle of the ruckus. They said that ETs, non-earth beings, would come after that, basically that the flash of light or the earth rift helps to stop the war and creates peace on earth. And that is after peace on earth is when the aliens come. So at least we kind of know where we are on the path, right? That's where we are in terms of sequence. We don't really know when all this is happening, but at least they kind of give us an idea of this happens, then this happens, and this happens. So that's kind of where things are unfolding. So yeah, absolutely preparing us. And you're seeing waves of awakening, yes. So here's something really interesting, you guys. I have noticed that loads of people are having dreams about weddings right now. Loads of people. And typically weddings in a dream are something that you dream about after you've done a load of work on yourself and you are blending your masculine and feminine energies. It's usually like showing you that you're working towards the marriage is the marriage of your masculine and your feminine side. So interesting that people are dreaming about weddings right now, because that is what this energy is about. It's about harmonizing our masculine and feminine. So as a matter of fact, I heard a dream this morning. Somebody was saying that they walked outside, and they were getting prepared for a wedding. And it was interesting because it was like, and the ring was being put on their finger, right? But it wasn't like your typical healing dream that you usually see around weddings. And I think this was a dream showing, hey, watch out. And in the dream, she's met by people who tell her, like, are you ready? Like, are you ready? And so I think this is the energy. Like, are you ready for this energy? Energy is about blending yourself. And that blending, when we bring our masculine and feminine into harmony, we activate our upper chakras. And so, like I said, and they're not saying that this is going to do the full job, but this is going to help. This will help. And typically, in order to do it, we have to do a lot of healing on ourselves. And I know you guys are all on your own individual healing journeys. And that's what we are meant to be doing right now. That is the joy of this time period that we are in right now. In this, I guess we could call it, if we can, a calm before the storm. It's not much of a calm. We have, the poly crisis, chaos all the time. But this is the period where we are meant to be doing our healing right now. And preparing. And I think this energy is going to be helping us significantly. Yeah. You're saying, so interesting. I keep getting messages about November that I'll understand soon. Oh, isn't that interesting? Yeah. So I don't know if there'll be like a moment where like we get the biggest one of these. It sounds like it's continuous. And it sounds like these waves, the way they've described it is that they come and they're fast. They move across the planet quickly and they don't stick around, that they just kind of like, boom, they kind of go over us. They go over us, right? Like it's multiple waves of it, like bunches of it is what it sounds like. And it's almost like we're going through a belt of energy, right? And these different waves are hitting us. And so interesting that they're just saying an unseen friend, something we can't see, but that you will probably feel it. And you might be having dreams of marriage and stuff like that, which is, it doesn't mean about getting married in the real world. It's about you marrying yourself. It's about it's about inner connection to you, both half of yourself getting connected, which is super cool. Same thing if you dream about aisles at a grocery store, that's the same thing, right? Going down the aisle, right? It's a metaphor for the aisle. So let me see what else you guys are saying here. You're saying, and I'm so glad you guys are joining us. Thank you so much. You say good morning from the Grand Canyon. Oh, how cool, Julia. That's awesome. Good evening from the Netherlands. Hello, Sylvia. That is so cool. I love it. You guys are coming in from everywhere. From Mexico City. Awesome. And you're loving your soul family. It's so great. And you're saying, I only getting a few her words here and here. Oh, sorry, Lisa. Hopefully you'll get the whole thing. Yep, and I will post it on YouTube. So, and you say you got busy cooking. I was late too, Mike, so that worked out just great. You say, so very interesting. There we go. And I think I'm back into where we are. And then the next one, you're saying, a lot of love energy is showering over each of us. Yes, absolutely. The wave of light, but not yet. It does sound really, really cool. Yeah, right, about the karma versus dharma. Yep, absolutely. You're saying, I remember that they said before that it was coming during spring, maybe South Hemisphere spring, which is on September. Yeah, that could be. But I think this is happening now. And I know, like, I've gotten emails from a few people who said, they're like, was that the flash of light? I felt something huge last night and I've been hearing it. So it may be these energies that you're feeling. And particularly, they say the symptoms are feeling disoriented and almost like you're not connected to time for a period of a few days is what it sounds like. So that's kind of the symptoms. So that's how we know, like, okay, is this it or not? That's how they're describing it. That you feel kind of woozy, and so we'll go through the paragraph by paragraph and see if we can get. And this one is pretty clear, so I will just kind of go through and see if we hit any highlights. Need any highlights? Build our antennas to connect with the flash of light. That's exactly, our antennas at the top of our head. Bashar mentioned that open contact might be happening in 2026, and his channeling is mentioning preparation from 2024 until then. So that seems to align perfectly. I have been hearing that and feeling it more and more and more, that 2026 is going to be a massive, that could be the period of the greatest turn. So that may be, and so we know, like, between now and then, we have many things that could be happening between now and then. We have still, like, many of the things that angels have talked about have already happened. Things still on the docket. They've talked about massive political upheaval in the United States. They've talked about the split of the United States. That could be happening starting this fall, going in, with the election. It seems very, very tense around the election. And then I see that there we go. Now I'm back in. But then they've talked about that having big economic upset. And that could be in the U.S. It could happen sooner. But I've heard in astrology that the biggest period for economic upset is actually between March and May of 2025. So that could be the biggest. Like we've been talking about and they talked about the banking crisis several years ago, but we started to see that unfold already with what happened with the Silicon Valley Bank being the start of it. But I don't think that's finished yet. So and so there's quite a few things happening between now and then increasing war. So these are all the things that are meant to help break down the systems, break down the things that would keep us where we are. So increasing upheaval, increasing chaos, going up until we have this earth rift that it's basically a big enough deal that it makes everybody realize. And I think that happens. They say the flash of light happens simultaneously in the middle of the earth. With flash of light is not, somebody guessed that it was like a nuclear explosion. No. It's not that. I promise. The angels have said that it is a solar energy, and that it comes from a sun or star, and that it harms no one. They said the flash of light is not harmful. It raises our frequency up enough so that we shift into this higher state of being, and it helps really to get us into the state where we can connect telepathically. And so, but it happens in the midst of all the other ruckus, as they described it. So there could be a lot of other things going on when this happens, including significant increase in war and other stuff. But this happens, and then the world gets calm, the world gets peaceful, and it shifts us into really a new way of being. Which is incredible to think that it could be that close. It could be. And I don't know. The angels have not given me a specific time frame. All they've given me is the sequence. So, but I am hearing it from a lot of other people that have gotten specific dates, and from prophecies, old ancient Native American prophecies and things like that are saying that it could be in that time period. So we'll just see, to me, it's like, it's not about when, it's just about being. The goal is we are meant to use every moment of this. We're meant to use now. So it's not so much thinking about when is it going to happen. And we're not even really meant to prepare other than to heal ourselves. So that's what we're meant to be doing right now, is heal, right? Use this time, because this is what your soul came from. You came for this, right? To be here during this period where we get to heal everything as much as we possibly can, because we have access to our full Akashic record. We can bring everything in and heal as much as we can. So this is the gold right now. And then we heal, and then it's just like, wow, isn't this great? Then we go into a new state of being, and we get to work on creating a new world for ourselves. And that is phenomenal. And I love that. But this period, this is what you're going to take with you. This is the gold that everybody is here for. So take the full advantage. Don't be in a hurry. You know what I mean? Let's enjoy this. Let's be present and take the most advantage of this period that we possibly can to work on ourselves. Yeah, super exciting. So you're saying, so I guess this is the light that I have been dreaming about that then makes my intuition kick in. Yes. That is so cool that you've been dreaming about it. I love it. And Shanta says, I don't dream much, but my last dream was about feeling a bomb drop and going outside to see what happened. Second time having them like that. Oh, interesting. I'm not sure I think bombs or explosions have I think it's because that's it might be about healing bombs. One of our dream analysts might pipe in on that one. I'm not totally sure about the symbol of that one. Yeah. And you say representing London. Welcome. And Wendy's joining us from London, you guys. She's on a trip, which is super cool. Funny how this is before and coincides with the election in the U.S. in November. Yeah. You say, yes, what is that feeling? What that feeling is? Woozy, disconnected feeling. I thought it was my blood sugar and not even diabetic. Yeah, so it could be this. Exactly. So let's dig in and look through what they're saying and just kind of scan it in case there's more. I mean, I know this message was not, like a lot of their messages, they get beautifully poetic, and I love that because I confess, I love it. But this one was clearer, and so I think we can kind of scan it and go paragraph by paragraph and talk through what they say. So here's what they say. Let's go. For the first paragraph, this is how they usually talk about. First paragraph, they tell us what this message is going to be about. They say, blessings. We are speaking today on the transmission of stellar influence of all that comes to your earth in the times we've spoken of. The time is coming near when you will see the earth differently, when the light that illuminates the earth shall shine more brightly. The total illuminating force in wavelengths that comes to the planet is changing. The near proximity to other sources of illumination is helping. You are becoming closer to the delineation of the time that came after from now. So that's a confusing sentence, but basically, I think that last sentence, you are becoming closer to the delineation of the time that came after from now, is like, it says that there's a minute. It's like there's a moment we will say before the shift and after the shift. And they say we're getting closer to that moment, the moment where we're like, this is the time that delineates the before and the after when we're talking about the shift. And they're saying we're getting closer to that specific moment when that happens, which I think is the flash of light that they've been talking about, the big flash of light, not the one they're mentioning in this message. But they're saying that more light is hitting the planet in this first paragraph. And they say that it comes as we're getting more closer to other sources of illumination. So that I think is super interesting too, that you know, that we are like the idea that the sun, our sun is a binary sun, and that there's a second sun, and that we are rotating on an axis that orbit, elliptical, that eclipse, whatever you call it. I'm sorry. When I start talking like this stuff, I get all tongue-tied. But it brings us in an orbit closer and closer to that other sun. And then we gradually, over 12,000 years, we get further and further away. And then 12,000 years, we get closer and closer. And as we get closer and closer to that other sun, that we will then move around, our system will move around it, we get increasing light coming to our planet. And that increases our consciousness. So they're saying that as we're getting closer to this, more types, or more energy, more light hits the planet. Yeah, so just a little sidebar there. And that's called the Yuga cycle. It's referred to in many different traditions. It's also in astrology, like that's why we have the 12 houses. Each house lasts about 2,000 years. You add it up, it's about 24,000 years, which is 12,000, 12,000. So it's in multiple different traditions that they talk about these 12,000, this cycle of this orbit around our binary sun, our second sun. So, okay. So then they go on to say, that the instances of the wavelengths herald in frequencies that you can now absorb. All right. And they're saying that a template is on offer. What they mean by a template is like a new way of being, right? It's a template of existence. So can we change from who we are now to a different way of being? And they're saying that is on offer. That's what's coming with this, a new way of being. And you are experiencing them incrementally in the body. So they've already been happening little bit by little bit. It's like we get, but it sounds like there's going to be little bit by little bit, but there's going to be some big ones too, which are probably going to make us feel a little woozy. And they say you've already absorbed the frequencies of prior instantiations of light. So we're already in the middle of this, or of different types of light that have been coming. But they say, but now arriving, the times herald a delineation of frequency. A higher spectrum of light is arriving, a spectrum beyond the frequencies you have until now understood and seen. So this is something brand new to our planet that is not something we have experienced or can measure or can see. So we might be feeling it really, really differently. They say a higher spectrum of light whose behaviors you cannot comprehend scientifically. So we're not be able to observe this, right? An unseen friend illuminating yourselves from within. It is a space of recognition within which you discover what you are. So this is one of the benefits to us, right? It is bilateral in an illuminating frequency that is bilateral in nature. In other words, it affects both hemispheres of the brain and the body. And it's meant to harmonize us, a harmonizing frequency that brings you into coherence more easily. Yeah. And I am scanning because I think the message was I don't want to just keep you guys hearing the same thing twice. So I'm just going through more quickly because I think it was easier to understand this one. They go on to say, it is an aspect of who you are that bifurcation has been symbiotic to your existence. So bifurcation is the division into two branches. So that is the separation of our masculine and our feminine energy, our left and right hemisphere of our brain, the left and right mirror image of our body, right? Our body is a mirror image of itself. So we've been bifurcated. We've been split into two halves, right? Two branches. And that's how we've experienced life, right? That's what it is to be born. And some of that is because that's how life happens, that the angels have described that life has to happen through polarization, that there has to be separation. You have to separate ourselves from ourselves in order to understand ourselves. So it is, and through the coming together of those two energies, we generate life. And they go on to say that that has been symbiotic to our existence. So being separated has created the opportunity for us to learn about ourselves. Yeah, so symbiotic means close physical association, interdependent cooperation. So in other words, we have been bifurcated, we've been separated in these two halves, but the two halves have been extremely interdependent. So our whole journey has been about understanding ourselves from this state of separation from ourselves, a separation from our higher self, separation within ourselves. So it's been very helpful. This process has been helpful up until now, right? To be separated. It has been something you have adhered to within each instance of your existence, but the coherence of your frequency, of your energy, must now come together in unison, in a way of behaving that illuminates your higher chakras, that instigates for you a transmission and receptivity to all others, earthly and non-earthly beings. Isn't it interesting that we're talking about the potential for non-earth beings to be coming, and we are developing the ability to communicate with them potentially, right? Through this process, we're developing the ability to have telepathic communication. Yeah, it is the ability to transmit your own frequency with more ease. So this, by having this coherence, so think about that if you have a coherent energy, all your energy goes at once. So if your energy is sort of splatter patterned and you're trying to communicate to someone, you just got to have a lot less power to go forward. It's like literally like you're kind of spreading it to the whole room, and they're going to get a little bit of it, but the rest of your energy is kind of going everywhere else. If you are coherent, then your energy is going to go with like that laser beam. It's going to go directly to the person you're trying to talk to. So it's all of the waves that you're producing are coming out in one unified thought form, as opposed to kind of going a little bit here and a little bit there and pulling you backwards. And I think that really is a reference to what karmic energy is. Karmic energy is you carrying a whole bunch of baggage, which pulls your energy into all these vast experiences you've had throughout time. You know, it pulls you back to your 3-year-old self, to your past life, to your, all this stuff that you got in your baggage. That creates incoherence in our energy. So this is really about trying to help us come into coherence. Yeah, very, very cool. And so then they go on to say the absorbing of these coherent waves of energy happens naturally. So we're not going to have to stress about this or strain. They say you need not think about how it will occur. You need not try or foresee how it happens. It is happening. It is happening as we're speaking. However, there will be specific occurrences. That's where they say it. Specific occurrences of this illuminating force that will be higher in impact, higher in duration, and in force. So they are say that there will, and that's probably why they feel like they need to tell us, is because there will be moments where we get blasted and you will be finding yourself feeling misty and befuddled upon the absorption of these frequencies. You will feel disjointed in the occurrence of time. So very, very interesting. So that's the symptoms to look for when this happens, and to know, okay, this is just part of it. And they say it'll take a couple days. The spectral event shall come in between the times that are occurring most near, and then I drop a word in the channeling, the live channeling. You'll hear this on the video. They say it, but I add the word that dropped was and. The times that are occurring most near, and the greater frequency of light that is occurring mid-November. So that's when it's happening. So the times that are most near, so now basically, and the occurring mid-November. So that window is when we can expect these larger experiences of this light. You may feel this in between now and this time frame. It will occur. So that's when we can be on the lookout for it. Each of you, well, and I am just like so amazed that they named a month. Like I said, this is a very different message. The way that when this one came through, it came through much more like a broadcast, like a news, like an update. You know what I mean? So yeah, they go on. Each of you will feel it bodily within the body, but not as an effort to do so. It will happen as you are receptive. There are instances of this light occurring already, but the greatest time frame of receptivity is now, within the time frame of which we are speaking. So yeah, so it's definitely affecting us physically. You are opening yourselves in your receptive state to allow this entrance. It will heal your wounding to some degree if you allow it. It will allow for the bifurcated aspects of your own human desire to reunify. So that's interesting. It will heal our desire. So that's one of the ways it's going to bring us together. And that is really, really interesting, because there are things. So say, for example, that you are wishing for yourself, that you could have a better relationship, or you could have a work that you're enjoying more, or whatever it is. And you have this one piece of you that's like, okay, I really want to create this. I believe that I really want to have this, deeper bond or deeper connection with my partner or whoever it is. But there's another part of you that says, I don't trust my partner. right? I'm out of alignment with that desire because there's a part of me that fears if I have it, I will be hurt again. So you want it, and then you also reject it at the same time. And so this is saying that where can we become more in harmony with our desires? So are there things that you are reaching for that you are also pushing away at the same time? So that's what this is going to be working on, which is pretty darn cool, right? Yeah. So bifurcated aspects of your own human desire to reunify, to come together as one being into aspects of self that no longer acknowledge yourself as in abhorrence to what you are. Abhorrence means it's like such a strong word. Repulsion, disgust, loathing. Pooh, those are like the words that we like, really self-hatred. Where are we in self-hatred? Like, where are we really not loving ourselves? That's what this is about, right? And so that we no longer think of ourselves that way, to come together as one being into aspects of self that no longer feel that way, that feel love toward ourselves. So they're trying to do this. And this is a process. Like, we need all the light that we can get. You know what I mean? This is all a process to try to bring us to our healing, to try to bring us into unity with ourself. But it's a journey, and it's like going to the gym. We got to keep going. We got to build on our results. Like, keep working out, keep doing it, and allow each one of these waves of light to come. Keep working on your healing practice. Keep doing it, because it's so important that we build our frequency up, right? And they're not saying that we have to worry about it. We don't have to stress about receiving the light. But we do have to do our part in terms of healing. That the more we do, the better this will be for us, and for us for eternity. That's what we bring with us. You know, when we cross over, we bring our brighter, sparkly souls with us. So that's the benefit that we get to enjoy for eternity. Yeah, for the rest of our whole soul beingness. Yeah. All right. So then they go on to say, where is it? You are opening yourselves in your receptive state to allow this entrance. It will heal. Oh, I already read that part. It will allow for blah, blah, blah. I said that. Okay, to come together. Not to be like, not in any way irreverent towards this material. I just mean I'm repeating myself. Okay, to come together as one being into aspects of self. There we go. There is congruence between your actions and what you need internally. And that is a part about desire again. There's congruence between your actions and what you need internally. So this is that healing, that part where you are in resistance to what you need, resistance to what you want. Yeah, it becomes congruent. There is definition behind the mind in the subconscious layer of thinking, where you can receive these influences more deeply, allow them to penetrate what you are. So it's working at the subconscious layer. Yeah, very cool. The reoccurrence of these spectral events will not occur for some time. It is unique in the time frame of your own specific resurgence of consciousness. So this is like a one-time gig, that this particular energy is happening now, and we won't experience it again, right? This is now only. So it's almost like there's a wave somewhere out there in the galaxy that's just moving through us, and that we get to benefit while it's here. And I'm sure it's all part of this grand plan that we have for our shift in consciousness. Right? This is the only time that these energies will be apparent, they say, but they are called in at the behest of all creation to aid you now in the reunification of the body, of the mind, of what you are, to help make you whole, to help draw you into purpose, to bring you to what you are. And I like that they specifically mention there, to bring you into purpose, to bring you to what you are. And so that is that idea that we are meant to be the light, that we're meant to be the divinity embodied on earth, and then into purpose, right? Is to be the light. And then yes, we all have additional purpose. We have the purpose to help each other in our different ways. We all have, every single one of us has spiritual gifts, and we are meant to use it to help each other, especially through this time. Because here's the thing: is that we are going to go through the flash of light. And that's going to make it so that a lot of you will go through that, and you will be like, bingo, I win, and I have all my goodies, and I'm ready to go, and I'm shiny and bright. And that's going to be you. And then there's going to be a lot of people who do not feel that way, who are ready, like they have the awareness that something massive has changed, but they can't get into the good vibes. That for one reason or another, they are not there yet. But they will be raised enough to see that you've got it. They will be able to see you and see that, hey, what is that shininess that you have, and how do I get it? And so that's why we all have our gifts, is that we are meant to help as many people as who want it, as many people as we possibly can. And so we have all come here for purpose, to be of help to one another. So it's awesome to be on the early journey, right? To be the ones that get to be attuned to this, and to feel those energies early, and to move in a space where we will be able to help other people. It's really, really cool. But that is to help draw us into purpose, to bring you to what you are. So you are divinity on earth, you are a divine creator, and we, each of us, have special, very unique, very important spiritual gifts, which we are meant to discover and use. Right? And to help each other. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, be out there becoming the next, mega healer person. You don't have to be the next, Eckhart Tolle or whatever. You might have come specifically to help your family, or to help your friends, or to help your community, right? In ways that are very unique and specific to you. Or you may have come to help in a broader way. Like, you just don't know what, I find that it will be in agreement with what you want. You know what I mean? With what brings you joy. That's how you're going to be gifted. Like, it'll already be made for you. So trust that, right? If you're a person and you're just like, I'm really kind of a recluse and I don't necessarily want to, to have billions of people, then maybe you're a one-on-one person who heals one-on-one, and has that kind of relationship to it. Maybe you're a teacher and you're teaching others about stuff. Maybe you're writing about it and sharing your knowledge that way. It's going to be unique for each of us. Yeah. And there'll be like a thing where with writing, you will be able to heal through writing, and heal through counseling, and heal through conversation, So yeah, super cool. All right. So that's what we are. They go on to say, there will be the greater cascade of illumination, which will be observable later. That's the flash of light that's going to happen in the middle of the ruckus. They say, not now. This frequency that's coming is not observable. It will not be remarked upon by others who are not attuned to the higher dimensions and planes of awareness. But for yourselves who feel drawn into this chord of vibration, it will affect you deeply. Will harmonize your bodies, will help you in absorbing further, more deeply, the greater frequencies that will be arriving later. So it's a primer, right? It's like putting on primer so that you can then put on the paint. It is helping us to absorb it more deeply, and it will. These lights, these waves can affect everyone, but they will affect you more deeply if you are in harmony with it, if you're receptive to it. So it will sink in a lot more. Yeah. And so some people might be feeling this experience, and some people that you might know might have no awareness. You know what I mean? You will find yourselves, as we have mentioned, to be conscious of a drifting awareness, a befuddled sensation, while you are in the rehabilitation process of this absorption with the realignment of what you are. So it will create for you some days worth of distribution of your own conscious awareness. So that is feel that like a distribution of your conscious awareness for a couple days. So imagine it's like you can't quite focus for a few days. You feel really drifty, like you're not in your body. Like, what time is it? What day is it? You just feel confused, I think. We feel confused, but they say not to worry about it. They say as though you are scattered and not temporally locked. So that's like not locked in time, so that we lose track of time during this period. They say you're not temporally locked within this specific dimension. So you might even feel yourself floaty. Like those of you who do a lot of out-of-body experiences, you might feel like you're not, like, am I here? You might have a lot of deja vus. You know what I mean? Like, this might be an interesting time. I don't know exactly how that's going to unpack. But then they say you are still within the realm of all that is sacred. So even if you have that sense of being super ungrounded, super dizzy, super floaty, if you feel like you're kind of like watching life as opposed to being in life, they say, don't worry, you are still in the realm that all that is sacred, that you are held in the arms of ourselves. This transition will be made easier by your own willingness to be guided through it. So ask the angels. If you're feeling crummy, if you don't like the feeling, if you're in the middle of it and it's confusing and you're trying to drive, you're like, is this safe? Like, ask the angels for help, the willingness to be guided through it. We have to verbally say it out loud. You can whisper, you can say it super quiet, like, hello, angels, help me. They'll hear you. The reason is that it has to be made into a thought form. In order for them to take action, you have to form it all the way. It can't just be like a wishy-washy wish. It has to be formed into a thought form, and then they can take action. And that has to do with respecting our free will. So important. All right. We ask for you to simply breathe. This is how they say this is the best way we can work through these energies as we're coming through. To take space for your own health, to be alone, to take time in your own solitude, to allow your frequency to adapt to these greater illuminating forces which rise within you. They come as called into presence. They come as you are ready. They are spectral waves which come to the planet. They are coming in occurrences rapidly impacting many persons. They move across very quickly. It is not an occurrence that is lasting of duration. So it's really just like it. I mean, I could just imagine it's like short duration. So if you feel these things, it might be that you feel like maybe you feel a wave particularly strongly for a minute, that you feel it for an hour that one day, and then it fades and it goes away, and it's like the light just passes. So I get that feeling of it, that it's not unlike the wave of light which comes, which sounds like the energy sticks around for longer. This one, it doesn't, just boom. I think it's very high frequency and it just moves through like a freight train is kind of the vibe. Yeah. Then they go on to say, they come a wave. So it's multiple wave. They come a wave and move across and distribute power among all surfaces of this plane. It cannot be a fear that you will miss it. If you are receptive, if you are willing, if you will find yourself absorbing these frequencies much to your benefit. So that's all we got to do is be open, be willing. That's it, right? And then they go on to say, we bring this to your awareness. This is not the flash of light, which we have been speaking of. The solar occurrence will come later. This is the spectral wave beyond the illumination you've previously seen, specifically intended to aid you in coherence within the mind and body. We thank you. So they really spelled it out, right? It's a spectral wave. It's a different frequency than we've ever seen or felt. Yeah. And it's here to help us with our coherence. And that coherence is super important in order for us to have our telepathic abilities activated. And that is what it's all about. Our connection to our higher self and to one another. That's the goal of this shift. That's what we're trying to do, right? Trying to get into a space out of our karmic experience, into our dharmic experience, where we become divine creators on earth, working in our reality. It's all so exciting, you guys. It's like so amazing that we get to be here. It really is winning the lottery. Like, to be here right now is winning the lottery in so many ways. Like, to be in the before team, like you guys are, because you're being interested in this now, you're on the before team. You might be on the after team too, you know what I mean? You can still be here and you could just be like, I'm retired, I did my work. But but to be here now and to be tuned into all this stuff, like you are helping now. We're absorbing these energies, and then we'll be here to help and serve afterwards with our gifts. And hopefully, maybe you're serving now, maybe you're already at work busily, but a lot of us right now are helping other light workers. Like, that's kind of where the action is right now. It's all about helping other light workers to get into connection with their gifts so that they can be ready after this shift happens, and then they will be ready to serve all those people that see the light, they see its presence, they see you've got it, and they don't know how to get it. And they need help. They really need compassion. They need deep compassion. The compassion that only comes from having gone through the fire yourself, right? From having gone through your own wounding. So they will be attracted. The people that are meant to work with you will feel that you have healed the wounds that they carry. And they'll come, right? They'll find you one way or another, right? So we all have to do our own work. We all have to make our own process, make ourselves go through our own journey and heal so that we can do it, so that we can be here to serve and do the cool stuff we're going to do. Yeah, it's exciting. So let's see what else you guys are saying. This is not the easiest thing to do this on my phone, I will confess, because the print is like really, really, really tiny. And you're saying we practice coming from pain and confusion to love and coherence. And he started teaching this with his duality course. Oh, that is super cool. Yeah, I love that. Any idea how we can help ourselves to be more receptive? Yes, they said they want us to be in silence, when these energies hit, if you feel dizzy and confused, see if you can get away and get into nature, get somewhere quiet where you feel peaceful. Like, try to if you've got kids in your home, and like, just try to take a tub, do some tubbing. You know what I mean? Like, get a little help and do it and take a tub. Just try to be alone in your own energy a little bit, and that will help enormously. That's what I understood from their message. So, and that doesn't mean you have to like go on like a 3-day silence retreat, but we rarely take time to be in our own thoughts. It's a rare thing that we literally set aside time to just listen to our own thoughts. And that, I think, is what we need to do. So just try to carve out time to be alone and it's not a lot, right? It's 3 days they're talking about that, where we really a couple of days. I think they said, I don't know if they said 3, but a few days that we will be experiencing this most deeply. And so, yeah, but in the meantime, if you get one on any particular day, just try to carve out a little time of quiet, a little bit of silence for yourself. Yeah. It said, I do so love your analogies that clarify the message so perfectly. Thank you so much, Don. I appreciate that. It already happened to me. LOL, I even missed a doctor's appointment. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think they said this has already been happening. So very likely, if you feel like you just, and you know what, now that you mentioned, I had a day like that too, where I was missing everything. I was literally like, I was totally outside of time for a day. And I am bad with time generally, like really bad with time. Like if it was not for my calendar, I would be a lost cause. But yeah, so there may be times you guys look back on and oh yeah, I had that day when I was really dizzy. Yeah, because they said it's been happening. It's just that they're telling us now it's going to intensify. So something, if you've already experienced it, then you know what's coming. And then we'll have one that's a big one. It sounds like at least one, they said. Yeah, bigger. Yep. So just be aware. Be aware. Yes, it's happening to me too. Yep. Do you think that this befuddled is being felt now by the empaths and light workers first? I think the higher your vibe, the more open you are, and the more you are likely to feel it. So yeah, I think that it is that you guys are going to feel it because you're interested in this stuff, and you cannot be interested in this stuff and not have. You're encountering yourselves. You're working on yourself. You're putting yourself in spots where you're exposed to higher frequencies. So you're naturally going to be in a place where you're more receptive. You're interested. And that's what they say. All you got to do is be interested, because being interested pulls you into the orbit of places where you're going to be exposed to high vibes. So yeah, and when you hear their messages, when I put it on the YouTube channel, you guys know I will put in the live broadcast, the live when I channeled it. I channeled it this morning. Actually, I woke up at the crack of dawn and channeled. So my voice sounds a little scratchy, but it's my pre-coffee voice. And and you'll be in their frequency, and that every time you listen to the angels, you're in that, and it's raising your vibration every single time. It just picks you up. And that helps us. It makes us more receptive. Yeah. So it does pay off. All the work you guys are doing on yourself, it pays off. Yeah. I had a dream that I was floating the other night, and dizzy spells most days. I will ask the angels for help with those. And yes, I become very fearful of driving. Yeah. Yeah, I really understand. Can't wait, says Becky. I know, me too. Before team, first movers. Yeah, exactly. Before team, old souls. Yep. And then same thing with the after team, old souls. You know what I mean? It's like it's all of us who have agreed to come back to earth to help. And it is a blessing, an enormous blessing to be able to help. Like, think about that. We were talking about this in the retreat this weekend, that think about when, like when you say, for example, holiday time, and you're giving gifts to friends. And when you find a gift that you find for a friend that is like, your friend is just going to love it. You know what I mean? Like, you found the perfect thing. Like, maybe you bought it months ago because you saw it somewhere and you're like, oh my gosh, my friend is going to love this. And you've been keeping it all this time. And then finally they get to open it. Who is more excited? It's you. You are the one who's like, I can't wait till they're going to love it. It's so exciting for them to open their present. Like, being the giver in that moment is so awesome. And then being the givee, like, it's super cool too. But like, the person who gets the biggest joy is the giver. And so when we get to be the giver, right, in this moment, as we move into this new state of awareness and we're trying to help as many people as possible, we are the blessed ones. Like, we are the ones who get to enjoy that process of really making a difference for people, really helping people in ways that will be transformative for them forever. Right? That is such an incredible gift to be here, to get to have that experience, to be a helper, right? Is such a gift that you get to feel that experience of like, oh my gosh, making a difference for someone. It is so cool. Yeah, so cool. I love the timelessness. I've been, just like you said, looking at your life instead of in it. Dizziness, so absent-minded. Yeah, for sure. And you're saying, I did as well. My whole body is tingling right now, as if every cell is vibrating as I am taking deep breaths and listen forward with that is fantastic. Yeah, and you will find that, like I said, you get exposed to these messages, and they definitely will. There are transmissions in each of these messages, and you guys are getting them, which is really cool. I have been seeing angels lately in the sky. Oh, very cool. So, Anne, how do you get any more connected than you are now? That's funny, Lisa. Thank you for that. That's a beautiful compliment, and I always have more to do. We all have more to do, but I really do. I see myself growing all the time. I had a massive shift yesterday. I had a beautiful shift, right? And awareness came through for me. And I work with my dreams, and I see where I am, and I watch my triggers, and just like you guys, that's our way through it. But it's through consistent application of effort, that we just keep growing, and it does get easier. Like these days, like a beautiful thing about having done a lot of work on myself is that now when I have stuff come up, if I can pull up the energy, the angels will reach in and just pull it out of me. Like it's a whoosh, like a whoosh of energy that comes out all at once. And it's phenomenal. It is so much easier. It used to be that I just had to it was just like, pushing boulders uphill. And now not the case. It just becomes easier and easier. Yeah. So that is a great thing. I am grateful, very grateful for that. Yeah. Sometimes, and by the way, I have noticed, like, I know my channeling has gotten better, you guys. Like if you look back at old messages I channeled like 3 or 4 years ago, the messages are there and they're accurate, but they're really like, they're disjointed, like the frequencies are coming through. But I know that I've gotten clearer as a channel. And that is a good feeling. Like and I see that as like for all of us. I see that as all of us, is that the more that we do, like there is a progression, there is progress that we make. It is measurable. It's not like I said miserable. It is measurable. And we can all see it, in ourselves. So if you think back for yourself, like where were you 5 years ago? What was happening for you 5 years ago? And how have you grown? Like what has shifted for you? Like what relationships are different? Like where have you found, and sometimes that means you've gone deeper into your junk. And that is, I know that's hard, but it's awesome because it means that you're willing to encounter your junk. That it's really easy to just say, I'm just going to lock myself away for this life and not engage in anything. And I know people who say that, who say, yep, I know that that's a problem, but meh, next life. And so sometimes it means, like, sometimes it's going to feel like, I've got more ease in some places, like sometimes, maybe moving from being, having a lot of anxiety to not having anxiety. But sometimes it is that you are deep in the junk. And that by itself is a sign that you are willing, right? That's your receptivity. That is your engagement in life. So that's winning, big time winning. It gets harder and harder and harder to see your triggers. So if you've got junk coming up, that is phenomenal. Yay, you. Yay, junk. It is good. It is a good thing. Yeah. And then you say, absolutely, the Friday Live originals you distribute on YouTube are so gracefully flowing. They are a joy to listen to. Thank you so much. You say, my life has changed 100% in the last 2 years. It is what it is. I love it. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, me too, you guys. Yeah, I can look back and see, we all have different ways of healing. And I think that's an interesting thing. Like we have kind of like different tracks we can go on. Like imagine like school is a like Earth is a university. And you can pick, like I'm going to pick the relationship track, which was mine. I'm going to heal through relationships. Or you could pick, self-expression track, where your track is that learning to express yourself. Or maybe your track is learning through creation. You know what I mean? Like through trying to build things or something like that. You just don't know. But everybody has their own little track where we're going to run into over and over again, run into our deep wounding and then try to heal that. So yeah. Yeah, and I can say for myself, like I've been married twice, divorced twice, deeply karmic relationships, deeply helpful relationships in terms of bringing me to where I am right now. That I'm grateful for both of them. Not that I want to do them again. No, thank you. I'm done with that. And happy to be in a relationship now that's kind and loving and supportive and all the things that I wanted for myself, But it was a rocky road to get here, and it took a lot of healing. So, but there's always more to do. There's always more open. I can always be more open. And then there's always more stuff I bump into myself where I'm holding something back, you know what I mean? Or holding back in fear in some way, or that fear of being wounded, all the stuff from our childhood, and it's deep in there and it takes a while to get to. So there's never, and I don't think there's a point. Like we don't want to get to the place where we're done, because then we would just be We do want to get to the place where, but then we're going to be one with Source when that happens, and this whole journey will be over. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. Beautiful, beautiful morning with you. I'm so grateful to share these messages together. I'm sending you guys tons of love. I will see you next Friday live. Bye, you guys. Bye.